This short video is to help visualize what is markup based on cost, and what is markup based on selling price. Now I have another video, and also Dr. Gigi has videos included in these weekly modules as we cover the chapter on markups. But I thought, given the complexity that sometimes students encounter when they look at markups, I wanted to try to help visualize just the simplicity of it. So let's go through these three little slides, and you'll always have them as backup that you can come to whenever you feel like things might get complicated and you get stressed out. You can refer back to this because these are really just three little slides that could make a big difference in understanding. Okay, let's start up with just what's the definition of markup. Okay, well, just very simply put, as the book says, markup is the dollar difference between the selling price from how much it cost. That's it. To whoever was selling it. Okay, so retailers have their own costs, wholesalers have their own costs, manufacturers have their own costs, but the dollar difference between whatever winds up being the selling price by whoever is selling, less their cost, is markup. Simply put. Now this is just the dollar difference. Okay, but let's move on. Let's think about, well, where do costs come from? Okay, well, markup based on cost means that when we look at a manufacturer, and this is one thing to keep straight in our heads as we read through the cases, are we talking about the manufacturer because their costs are like raw materials, direct labor, they've got salespeople that sell to wholesalers, and they have some fixed overhead, clearly, those big machines that they're running. So those are manufacturing costs usually, and then the wholesaler has costs. Well, the wholesaler is buying stuff from the manufacturer, so whatever the manufacturer requires them to buy, like pallets and pallets, they may have to buy a dozen pallets of something, which there could be, a dozen of items on one pallet. Their cost is what they buy from the manufacturer, along with the sales and sales commissions that they have to sell to the retailers, and of course the fixed overhead, because all these racking systems, the warehouse, lighting and everything, that's very expensive. So there's some portion of fixed overhead that goes into that. And then the cost by the retailer, now if any of you have ever worked retail, you know this. You'll get a rack of clothes, and usually they're all about the same item, just in different sizes. Or if you worked in another retail store like at PetSmart or Petco, you'll get a pallet, one pallet received into the retailer, and then we break it down in retailers and organize it so that we can sell one of each individual item. So you can see so far that retailers are the only one in this chain of events that sells in onesies. That's an easy way to put it, okay? So the retailer's cost is whatever they're purchasing from the wholesaler, okay? And if you work at Dillard's or some places, they have sales commission in some retail stores. I hate walking into some of those stores because you can tell if they're working on sales commission. And again, they have fixed overhead for all of their space and the equipment and racking systems that they use. Okay, and then finally, our cost. When we buy one item from a retailer, that's what we pay. That's our cost. So the markup on cost from the manufacturer and wholesaler and retailer and us is all possible to calculate, and that's what this chapter is trying to teach us. So that covers sort of the stair steps on cost, but what about markup on selling price? Well, let's take a look at that real quick. Markup on selling price, we're just going to look at the same chain of events, but think of them differently. See, the manufacturer sells right, to the wholesaler. So the manufacturer's selling price is what the wholesaler is buying at. Manufacturer's sales price is to the wholesaler. The wholesaler's selling price is something like we talked about, maybe a pallet of goods that's required to be purchased by the retailers. So manufacturer sells to the wholesaler. Wholesaler selling price is to the retailer. Retailer selling price is to us. Okay, so try to think in terms of which direction sales price is going in this chain of events. So again, I think these 3 slides might help visualize, for those of us who like to visually look at stuff, to think about in terms of, okay, I'm getting confused now. What's cost from who, and where's the sales price to who? So hopefully this short video will help, and I look forward to hearing your feedback on it. Thanks a bunch. Dr. Mims.